Good morning, guys. Good afternoon. We are here one more time and again, and we'd like to thank the Most High for giving us the wisdom and knowledge to be here. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed your week so far. Uh, Less stress, I hope, more happiness. I hope you have some peace. For those that don't know their way or haven't found their way, I can only hope you have received the guidance needed to find your way. If you come from far or near, you are now listening to Humanity Unplugged podcast, and I am your host, Jermaine McCrimmon, and welcome to another episode. And I would like to thank you guys for sharing, uploading, downloading, and passing along through word of mouth, emails, and all social platforms that we exist. Today's something different for you guys to think about, and I have to give you guys time to understand. For those of you who don't know how big this is, it happens all the time, and we don't see it because it's covered up. We don't see it because, due to the circumstances, we cough it up as, I'm glad it wasn't me. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, today's topic is hospitals negligence cover up part 1. This is an educational purpose only episode, and that's like every episode that I ever put out. It's all on educational purposes, making you more aware of what's going on in your surroundings. And hopefully you guys took your shoes off, relax your feet, put your feet up, get you something cold and refreshing, or a cup of coffee or tea, because today we're going to get started. Again, we'd like to thank everyone for tuning in with us, highways and byways all over the world, all the continents. We thank you guys for your love, your support, and your understanding. Today, I'm going to be talking about some things on this particular issue that I saw a couple years ago. And I'm bringing it to the surface because this show you what people will do when you don't know. People will do a lot of things to you when they think that you're naive and doesn't have the proper understanding of what should go down in a hospital. And before we get into that, I have to bring you into it. Okay. So in life, we have individual accomplishments, such as when we're a child, we're born and we grow, or even before that, when you're in the mother's womb, the baby in the embryo stage, they connect with the mother connects with the child, the mother become more emotional, they become attached, they become more sensitive to different topics, areas, and things as such. And if you are a proud father, which you should be, but sometimes pregnancy come at times where we can't deal with the pressure. Sometimes we opt to terminate the pregnancy. I do believe that that is a joint decision. That shouldn't be a one person's decision to terminate or abort a child. I don't believe it's the right thing to do, but I do understand that when you're in a tough situation, bringing a child that you can't care for in to let that child endure that might not be the wisest situation. And I know I'm going to get backlash for that. And some people may say, well, you have adoption agencies, you have this, you have that. Why would you want your child to come in already handicapped, being in an adoption agency or in a situation like that? Bringing them in this world for ridicule and more stress. For what reason? Why did you do that when you could be a little more responsible and maybe the wife be on birth control and the father can wear a condom, and y'all can probably protect yourself from having things like that happening in a different situation. Well, I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to give you a scenario and an understanding on how things happen. So, a couple of years ago, you can imagine mothers, fathers together, or just saying boyfriend and girlfriend. They've been bonding, they're married, or they're just living together, they're doing the right thing, and everything is working fine, and they're expecting their first child. The bond that that mother had with that child is unbelievable. For some mothers that's out here today that can't have a child, that want a child, I can, understand your pain, because there's plenty of mothers out here who really want a child, but unfortunately, they can't have a child. It is totally so hard or difficult to receive a child. Many of the people go through different programs and through different systems to try to conceive, and they have failed time and time again. The mother and child bond is incredible. And I think everyone that wish to have that should be able to go through that. Unfortunately, there are so many women that doesn't have that opportunity. So can you imagine a young couple, they're rocking, doing what they do, they're pregnant, the time has come, and she calls the man. The man answers, the father answers. She's like, babe, my water just burst. We got to go to the hospital. And they go to the hospital. They're upstairs. They get checked in. I see it all the time. They come in, you get them a wheelchair, you get them upstairs. They're excited. The father comes back down. He runs to the car to get the bags. He greets security. Security is there, and security greets him and tell him congratulations. Hopefully everything work out for you. God's willing. God's able. How many kids you have prior. And maybe the father has a conversation with security downstairs, and they have a great conversation. He asks security or the attendant downstairs, do we have any kids? And they talk. They have a great conversation. Security may tell him, yeah, he got a couple of kids and they're getting big. And he asks for insight on how did he raise his child. And he asks the patient, visitor, do you have any children? He says, no, this is my first. And he says, well, are you getting a boy or a girl? And the guy said, it's going to be my first son. And I'm so excited to see and conceive and receive him in this world. I have so much to teach them. And they have a great conversation. And as security or that individual, you see the compassion, you see the love he has for his firstborn, for his child coming on the earth. He's excited. They had a great baby shower. She had a great term of carrying the child. They are so ready for this child to be conceived and to be put on the earth, and it's a great experience. Giving birth is, for each his own. I've been there. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? It ain't for the faint at heart. If you ain't got the guts to sit there and watch that come through like that, some men are not built for it. You got to be built for that. All right. No offense to anybody, but I've seen men doing birth go to the ED because they can't handle the birth. So it's deep. I've been there for C-sections. I've been there for natural birth. I've been there for all of it. It's not easy. Not every woman can push that out. And I tip your hat to those. Some babies are just too big to go through that, that channel and get pushed out through the uterus. So I recommend or I applaud every woman that's able to do that. But as we go through this situation, just imagine this happening, that the man goes upstairs after he finished having this conversation, and he goes upstairs to meet his girlfriend. She's in labor. She's not dilated yet. Maybe she's at 6 or 7, but they wait till you at 10. And I want to tell you that the lady is handling this really good. She's breathing. She got her breathing techniques. She got the right pillow. She took her epidural. She's ready to push and do what she needs to do, but the time hasn't come for the child to be conceived in this earth. Labor and delivery, guys, whether you know it or not, labor delivery is a very, very hot floor. For those you don't know, labor and delivery is the money floor. The money floor meaning a birth can cost you anywhere from $30,000 to $70,000 to give birth with today's prices. It ain't like going to get a cheap Hyundai or a used car. The price is the price. You cannot avoid that. You cannot say, I'll just do it at home in a couple of hours. It's not like that. For those of you that just give birth at home, okay, that's great that you were able to do that. But for most people, they go to the hospital and they sit there under the experts and they pray that everything work out fine. There's so many complications, different complications that can happen during birth. And we need to understand that this is not something easy. This is something magnificent. As we know, as you're a child, you grow up, you go to Head Start and you go to kindergarten and you go to the first grade. And every class is a achievement. Every time you go to the next grade, it's the reward. It's an achievement. Your grades go up. Your parents are so excited that you are learning. You are receiving information in a great manner, a great factor. And as we grow older, we do that. We get rewarded for our accomplishments. When you go through those first stages, your first sandwich you make, the first time your mom allowed you to unpack the groceries, your first crackers and peanut butter that you made yourself, you opened up the juice by yourself, you took out the garbage by yourself, you were able to get dressed on your own. As you grew or as you grow, your father take measurements of your height. Everything I'm saying to you is monumental. Whether you understand it or receive it, that is all up to you. But there are certain parents that cherish every little moment that they have with that child. My sons did some of their first artwork they ever did. I still have it, and it's 20 years. I have items that my daughter drew for me when she was a child. I still have it. My daughter's over 30. I still have it. 30 years of me keeping stuff. I don't never, and some parents are worse than I am, they don't let go of things that our children do because we look at it and say, I remember. I remember when you were little. I remember when you first picked up the book. I remember us watching The Land Before Time. I remember when we took a nap in the living room. I remember you listening to Michael Jackson the first time and we danced to Beat It or Billie Jean. I remember the first time you listened to a oldies. I remember the first time in church you jumped up and down. I remember when I told you to say your first prayer at the edge of the bed. These are things that parents never forget as a child grow. Her first outfit, the first birthday, the teeth coming in, the teething, the teething ring, the pacifier, the pampers. Many a times where the kid went to the bathroom, they fell asleep right after that. It was so cute back in those days. Or when you had to do work around the house and your child looked for their handyman tool because they wanted to be just like daddy. All of these things are monumental in a child and a parent's life to see and witness their child grow into their own. And I want you to understand that on this day, these parents will never experience that because of the tragedy that happened in the hospital. So we got to realize that this is something that cannot be replaced. You can't just say, well, I'll buy a Mercedes instead of a Honda. No, life is lost. And when life is lost, it cannot be replaced. It cannot be covered up. The silent scream. I believe that's a movie or a book that came out back in the early 80s. It talked about the abortions happening inside of the stomach of the mom, how the child is screaming within the womb as they pull apart the body of the child. I hate to talk about this, but we need to talk about this because this is happening every day around the country. So on this day, this young lady, Miss Jessica Ross is her name. For those of you who know the story, then you know the story. But for those of you who never heard this before, just stay with me. Get your popcorn. Jessica Ross, pregnant with her husband. He's there. Um, they're together. They're rocking out. It's her first pregnancy, and she's dilated on the labor delivery, and she's on the floor, and she's in the hospital, and everything is going fine. The father's anxious. I can just imagine him pacing back and forth. I can just imagine him with his cup of coffee and he's praying to God saying, Lord, it's going to be all right. I can just imagine him saying, I can't wait till my boy come out because we're going to go fishing together. We're going to sit down and we're going to make cheese sandwiches together. I can just imagine the drool out the face, the first car ride, the first riding of the bike, the first game, him running or acting like he doing something while he moving around, the first crawl. I can imagine the joy that comes into their hearts off the first cry. Well, I'm here to tell you that the woman, Miss Jessica Ross, she was excited because, of course, the visualization of seeing her child, the ability to carry that child outside of the womb for the first time, the breastfeeding bond for that child, the care, the nature, nurturing of that child, changing the pampers. That is a great connecting feeling between mother and child. Also, putting that child in the stroller, black folks, and I'm not picking on us, I'm just saying we love to spend money on strollers. If it ain't a high-end stroller, we didn't do nothing. So I'm quite sure they might have that $1,000 stroller they want to put that child in so they can dookie in and sleep in it. If it ain't high end, we didn't do it right. Back in the day, it was Greco. If you didn't have a Prego or Prego, whatever they called it, stroller, you wasn't doing what you need to do as a father. If you didn't buy a high-end stroller, you wasn't the man. Let me get me a sip of coffee. If you didn't have maybe a couple strollers, because let me tell you, back in the day, you had the Prego or whatever stroller. That was like the Bentley or whatever stroller because that was a heavy duty stroller. But as the mother went to doctor's appointments, you had to get her a lighter stroller because it was too heavy for her to come to carry on and off the platforms of the train and on and off the bus. So you end up buying two strollers. And nevertheless, you might have to get you, if you like me, we were willing and dealing. So we had us a vehicle. So I had to get a car seat too. And then you got to get a car seat mirror and you got to make sure the AC is right because the car can't be hot for the child and all the sun can't be shining in the face. And oh my God. And let me tell you, you got to have a travel bag, that was right. And then you got to have that milk warmer for the outlet, cigarette outlet to warm the milk because you can't feed your baby no cold milk while you're in the car. You know what I'm saying? So all of these things probably going through their mind of enjoying their child. The gift of a child is exactly what it is. It's a gift from God. It is a gift from God. So I want to tell you that Miss Ross, she became dilated 10 centimeters. And the doctor came in there, and the doctor was like, you know, in a minute, I'm going to tell you to push, you know, and I want you to push. And the lady, she's trying, you know, she's breathing. She says, doctor, I feel like I got to go to the bathroom, because that's what it feels like. For those of you who never experienced this or heard the talk, are not privileged or privy to having someone tell you, how does it feel? A lot of women will tell you giving birth feels like you have to take a dump. So this young lady told the doctor she's ready. She felt like she has to go to the bathroom. And the doctor there told her, okay, darling, give me what you got. Start pushing. So she pushed and she pushed and she pushed and she pushed. And the doctor said, all right, come on, come on. She's in front. She sees, you know, things are moving. But what she doesn't see is the shoulders. She doesn't see the head. But things are moving, but not the body. So the doctors that's there, she's an experienced doctor. She's been there for a while. She's been working there. But, you know, it's always good to have an understanding what needs to happen. We want both lives to be safe. And as much as we want a natural birth or the child to push out the wound, sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes you have to transfer into a C-section. Well, in this case, the doctor said, well, let me pull and push and let me pull and pull. And the doctor did all she could to pull the baby through the canal. Now, for those of you that know what the canal is, or the alleyway, I can call it, or whatever you want me to say for you to understand, there's a channel in the woman's body that the baby slides through. I don't need to be that technical with you. In a minute, when I play the video, they'll tell you. But the child was stuck. The child was wedged there. And unfortunately, the doctor pulled. And the doctor pulled. And the doctor pulled. And the doctor pulled. The doctor pulled for so long that damage was done. The doctor pulled so hard that things happen unimaginable. As we get into this, I want you to understand that what happened could have been avoided. This father, this mother will never, ever play with their child. And what happened after this was even worse. Let's listen to what really went down. Let's take a moment to hear the tragedy. Let's take a moment to understand what took place. Here we go, guys.
Hospital after their baby's horrific death during childbirth. We want to warn you, the allegations here are a bit disturbing. To say the least, a civil complaint was filed against Southern Regional Medical Center. And in the complaint, it says that the hospital tried to conceal how this couple's full-term baby died. According to the complaint, the infant was decapitated during a botched delivery.
Now, I don't know if you guys heard him correctly. Decapitated during a botched delivery. So as we get deeper into this, the doctor pulled on the baby head so hard that she pulled it off the body. She pulled it off of the body. Yes, you heard it right.
Dude also claims that the hospital staff wouldn't allow the mother or father to hold the child after his death because hospital workers had wrapped the baby's body in a blanket to conceal how he died.
So after that, you know, when a child passes in the hospital, one of the first things a mother and father do is they want to hold the child. They want to inspect the child. They want to look at the child. How can a hospital deny you that? How is that possible that people can be so cruel to this young mother? The child is decapitated and the gig is up at this point. But to make things worse, they tell you, no, you can't even hold your child. They wrap the child in a blanket and want you to see the child as the child is dressed up to appear to be attached to a body with the head poking out of the towel, but the child is decapitated.
The hospital is denying the allegations made in the suit. The parents are asking for a jury trial in this case. Let's bring in the attorney representing the parents, Jessica Ross, and Treveon Taylor, Corey Lynch, who's the attorney. He's with us live. And Corey,
Can you be?
I just want y'all to know this is so sad, and how they gonna tell me that this lady should have to go through this. It's unheard of.
If people haven't heard about this case, baby dies during delivery.
Correct.
It's a horrible scenario. Afterwards, the parents, of course, they want to see, hold their baby boy.
Correct.
Not allowed to. They were allowed eventually, apparently, to view the child, but not hold. And this is hard to fathom, but according to the complaints and what you know about the case, the hospital staff wrapped the baby's body and then also took the head of the baby and propped it up,
wrapped the baby up tight, placed the head on top so that they could not see the injuries or that the baby was decapitated. And they would not let them hold the child. They had to view the child through a glass.
How did they find out that their son was decapitated during delivery?
They found out on July 13th.
And this happened on the 9th.
Correct. They received, well,
So
it happened on the 9th to the morning of the 10th.
So she gave birth through the 9th through the morning of the 10th, but of July 2023. But they didn't know the child was decapitated till the 13th.
And they found out on the 13th when the baby got to the funeral home. The funeral home, Willie Watkins, alerted the authorities, called the Clayton County Medical Examiner's Office and the Clayton County Police Department, as well as calling the family based on the condition of the body, just to let them know, hey, you know, were you aware of this? And they were not. It's just very unfortunate that they had to find out that manner.
How did the child die from what you know?
I really can't get into that simply because the medical information and there is a ongoing investigation with the Clayton County Medical Examiners, the GBI, and Clayton County Police Department.
The hospital has released a statement on this, and it says in part, our heartfelt thoughts and prayers are with the family and those impacted by this tragic event. Our prayers also remain with the dedicated team of physicians, nurses, and staff at Southern Regional Medical Center who cared for this patient, while our sympathies go out to the family. Southern Regional Medical Center denies the allegations in the complaint referencing the hospital.
Yo, this is so horrible that they want to give out all of this sorry and a message put out to everyone, but when it happened, they covered it up. They didn't admit to anything. No guilt, no nothing.
And you could feel? I mean, if you were a staff member, or you were working on this case, it would be horrific.
Correct.
One would think that that they've lost a child in this manner, but there seemed to have been a cover-up, and they even encouraged the family to cremate the child. Correct?
Correct. So immediately after, the family was told that the baby did not make it, but they were encouraged to cremate the baby, and they were also told that they were not entitled to an autopsy in this type of situation, and that if they wanted an autopsy, that they would have to pay for it themselves. When in actuality, that this is the exact type of situation where an autopsy would have been performed had the Southern Regional Medical Center called the Clayton County Medical Examiner's Office. Autopsy would have been done.
And an investigation is, as you mentioned, the GBI, which is the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, is involved here. Is there any scenario where you would think there would be some sort of criminal liability here, or are we just talking civil?
No, they are looking into criminal charges. The failure to report is a charge that they are looking at, but I don't want to get into the weeds of that and let them do what they need to do as far as their investigations.
The hospital did not report this incident. This all came from...
Correct. This came from the funeral home.
Mortuary, yeah. Wow. After delivering and seeing the condition of the child.
Correct.
How are the parents?
It's touch and go. It's rough. They are very young, but they are resilient. They are focused on getting justice for the loss of their son. They are very emotional. This is it's just bad. There's a lot of crying, but there's also a lot of hope, and to get justice.
First child?
Correct. This was their first child.
Obviously, they were waiting and healthy. Went to full term.
Full term, 37 weeks, healthy.
Water breaks were going
in. Everything seems to be going according normal in a normal pregnancy and delivery.
Imagine.
And you see this happens a lot. Young couple don't know, and things like this happen.
What was pointed out is that the obstetrician that delivered the baby was not a full-time employee. It's Dr. Tracy St. Julian. Now she's the OB. So
now the lady who did this, Tracy Julian, who was head charge of this botch delivery, practiced OBGYN for more than 20 years. Hospital says she's not an employee. So this lady either was covering or whatever the case may be, but she was present during this time. Dr. Tracy St. Julian.
20 years in practice. Does that matter that she's not a full-time? If she's a doctor that has privileges at a hospital.
It doesn't matter. It does not matter.
Why do you think they put that in the?
They're trying to distance themselves from this whole ordeal.
Yep.
They even came out and said that, hey, we in fact did report, but the medical examiner refuted that statement by saying, hey, no, we found out from the funeral home.
The hospital also said in their statement that the baby died in utero, and the attempts to get the baby out of the birth canal, they used drastic, basically, let's be clear, this was not anybody's, nobody wanted.
So in the vaginal canal, the baby head was pulled on so hard that she pulled the head off the baby. I'm sorry to say, but that's what happened. The doctor pulled the head off the baby. The soldiers was wedged in the canal, and she literally pulled the head off. Disgusting.
This scenario, right? The child is having difficulties coming through the birth canal. Things were done to try to alleviate that situation. Is the issue that you and the family have the way that was done, A, or the alleged cover-up, B, or both, A and B?
the issues all the way around, the cover up, the surgery, the aftermath during the procedure. She should have had a backup there. Call the senior person. Let's go. After you pull twice, let's go right to C-section. Let's go. Come on, you didn't have to do this.
All of the above. All of the above. There were certain things that they could have done that they did not do. And we'll let let those things come out in the facts once we do our depositions.
Yeah. And, malpractice and criminal liability, two different things, but both seem to be on the table in this case.
Yeah.
All right. Corey, thanks for coming in, and our thoughts to that family going through,
Thoughts
as you
and
said.
prayers. So now you know the baby head was decapitated in the vaginal canal. Who can ever go through something like that and be normal after that, right? Here we go, some more.
First time from the parents of a Clayton County baby whose death during delivery has been ruled a homicide. Thanks for being with us. I'm Jennifer Bellamy.
And I'm Faith Jesse. So in July, Jessica Ross went to Southern Regional Medical Center to Riverdale to give birth to her child. 1 month later, the couple sued the doctor who performed this delivery and the hospital, calling the doctor negligent and saying she applied excessive force on the baby's head and neck. The Clayton County Medical Examiner determined yesterday the manner of death is a homicide, with the child having a fractured dislocation to the upper spine and spinal cord at the neck.
11 Alive's Molly Oak is live tonight. Molly, we were the only local station to speak extensively with this family. What did you hear from them? What's their message tonight?
Well, guys, remember, it's been nearly 7 months since Jessica Ross went into labor at 37 weeks pregnant. And her lawyers tell me that she was expecting to have a healthy baby. Now, she spoke with us for the first time inside that law office. And to put it simply, Jessica and her lawyers want answers. Questions about one couple's baby answered with pain.
I just want justice for my baby boy. I'm hurt. I'm hurt bad. She hurt me. She took my baby. He didn't show no remorse. So I just want justice for my baby.
A pain that visibly overwhelmed Jessica Ross in a press conference this morning. A pain Jessica says she'll never heal from. We spoke with Jessica and Treveon Isaiah Taylor Sr., the baby's parents, in a private room after they learned the Clayton County Medical Examiner determined their baby's death is a homicide.
It was shocking. It gave me chills to know that his head was off his body.
A baby the couple and their lawyers say they never got to hold.
It hurts. It hurts.
And then the pour alcohol in the womb. You don't even let her hold the child. Never hold the child after passing. Let's face it, guys. When they're older, when you're old and you pass, you hold that loved one. You kiss that loved one. Goodbye. You say your farewells. They didn't even get a chance to say farewell up close.
Because I wasn't holding him. And he kept telling me no.
The staff at Southern Regional Medical Center, they lied to them and said, you cannot hold your baby, you cannot touch your baby. Then Southern Regional Medical Center, they capitulated a little bit. They said, okay, you can look at your child through a glass window, and they wrapped the baby tightly in a blanket, propped the baby's head up on the body, and set the baby up through a glass window, basically making it look like there was no decapitation.
A father saying he could never carry his child that carries his own name.
Yeah. That hurts. Didn't even get to touch her.
Now, the couple and their lawyers want answers.
We're going to depose everybody who was in the room, all the nurses, all the scrub techs, everybody, to find out essentially what the hell happened.
Yeah, this is a total cover-up. This ain't a one-thing cover-up. This is everybody involved cover-up. They all need to be terminated.
What happened?
As a doctor, you have an obligation to do the right thing. As a health employee, you swear an oath. You sworn in an oath as a nurse to do the right thing. They all need to be terminated.
Just come forward, please. The nurses that was in the room, please just come forward. Please. I just want justice for my baby.
Through their child, finding some semblance of peace in the pain.
You know, he's watching.
I don't know. She looked like she's very young, man. Like she's 17 or something. Like she looked like she's very, very young. Very, very young, pregnant or like that. It doesn't matter whether she's young or old. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying she looked very young.
I did reach out to the hospital multiple times since we first learned about the medical examiner's findings. Haven't been able to get an answer yet. Now, previously, the hospital told me it denied all of the allegations in the lawsuit, and it said that doctor is not an employee there, but said that she
doesn't matter whether she's an employee there. She had every right to be there to give birth of the child. You gave authorization. Doesn't matter. You're trying to cut yourself separate from the crime scene. You know, put distance in between.
did have privileges at that hospital, and according to her medical license, which is still active, she still has those privileges. I also just got off the phone with Clayton County Police Department. It says that this is still an active investigation and has been one since they first heard about it in July.
So now, you know, the doctors still have privileges. The doctor's still there doing what she does, right? We can only imagine if the doctor still has a license. Why wouldn't she, right? I don't know, guys. The last part of it is right here. You got to hear this.
There's a 2021 Blue Cross Blue Shield study that dealt with racial disparities in maternal health. In that study, they determined after deep scientific research that in majority Black communities, these women have a 63% higher incident of having damage to themselves or their babies. These numbers are similar in the Hispanic community. And then when you take this high number, the numbers are even higher amongst young people between the ages of 15 and 24. As you can see, Ms. Ross is both young and Black. So I'm going to turn this over to Attorney Corey Lynch. He's going to let you know more about our clients here. Attorney Lynch.
And this happened in Atlanta, guys. Don't forget that. Happened in Atlanta.
The authorities of Clayton County or the Clayton County Medical Examiner.
I'm sorry, it's slow, guys. Is what I got.
The report was made by a funeral home. And after the funeral home waved the flag and alerted the authorities regarding this, it wasn't until then when Dr. St. Julian told the family what actually happened. Up to that point, they had encouraged the family to, you know, hey, just have a cremation done. Oh, no, you cannot do a autopsy. Well, if you want an autopsy, you have to get it paid for you by yourself. You're not entitled to that. They did everything in their power to try to not let the family know what actually happened on that date. And it's unfortunate. And there is a current investigation going on with Clayton County Police Department, Head of Medical Examiner's Office, as well as the GBI, into the failure to report the death that happened and this incident.
Guys, I want y'all to know, in closing, the Jessica Ross story happened. The hospital was found negligent, and they rewarded them with $2.2 or $2.5 million because of the negligence on the hospital behalf. But that young child will never be here. That pain will never go away. And right now, that doctor's probably still in service. 20-year veteran, OBGYN or whatever doctor. She's still doing what she does. For all the young couples that are pregnant and expecting to have a child, know your rights going inside of a hospital when giving birth. Have somebody a little older with you that might have a different insight and know a few things to make sure you're good. Because you can never tell when things might happen. But all you can do is pray and stay aware of your surroundings. This is the Jessica Ross story. Truly, this is what it is. We thank you guys. We see you again on Tuesday. God bless. Take care and protect yourself at all times. Peace.